The moment Alex's father swung open the screen door, his eyes locked onto mine like a vice grip from hell. And in that split second, I knew our fragile world of stolen kisses and whispered promises was about to shatter. "You," he growled, his voice a rumble of thunder from a decade ago, stepping forward as if to reclaim a ghost he'd buried long before I ever met his son. My heart slammed against my ribs, blood roaring in my ears, because one look from him yanked me back to that rain-soaked night in the cornfields, where I'd first learned what it meant to run for my life as a scared kid owning his truth. I'd always known loving Alex would demand everything me guarded heart. My carefully built walls, every late-night confession in our cramped dorm room where his laughter chased away the loneliness. We were two 22-year-olds navigating the chaos of college in bustling Chicago, roommates by chance who became something deeper by choice. Our bond forged in shared playlists and the quiet thrill of hands brushing under the covers. Alex, with his easy grin and that boyish charm that masked the weight of a conservative upbringing, had pulled me into his orbit during freshman orientation, his hazel eyes sparkling as he joked about surviving 4 years without his mom's meatloaf. I was Brandon, the artsy type from the suburbs of Detroit, sketching feverishly in the corners of lecture halls, hiding my sketches of him like contraband. Our romance bloomed in secrecy, a quick graze of fingers in the library stacks, a heated makeout in the shadows of Wrigley Field after a Cubs game, always glancing over shoulders because Alex wasn't ready to face the storm back home in Elmwood, Ohio, a speck of a town where pickup trucks outnumbered rainbows and family values meant towing the line. But love, that reckless force, doesn't wait for permission. When Alex invited me to Elmwood for Thanksgiving break, his voice cracking over the phone with a mix of excitement and dread, I said yes without hesitation. "It'll be fine," he'd assured me, packing his duffel with that forced optimism Dad's mellowed since I left for school. "Just act normal. Okay. Like we're buds." Normal. The word tasted like ash. How do you play straight when every fiber of you aches to pull him close, to trace the freckles across his nose and remind him he's the safest place I've ever known? Still, I packed my bag, heart pounding with a cocktail of anticipation and fear, dreaming of stolen moments in his childhood bedroom, the creak of floorboards under our weight as we finally let the world fade away. The drive from Chicago was a blur of golden fields stretching under an endless sky, Alex's hand occasionally squeezing my thigh when the highway emptied out. He pointed out landmarks, the rusted water tower from his prom night, the diner where he'd flipped burgers to save for art supplies, his stories weaving a tapestry of a boy who'd always felt like an outsider in his own skin. "Dad's a mechanic now," he said, voice tightening. "Used to be a cop, back when Elmwood thought it needed one for every block. Strict guy? But he means well. Mom's the soft one. She'll love you." I nodded, swallowing the lump in my throat, because what he didn't know, what I'd buried deeper than my own coming-out scars, was that his father and I had history. Not the kind you share over turkey and pie, but the raw, jagged kind that leaves marks. We pulled into the gravel driveway just as the sun dipped low, painting the faded blue siding of the house in hues of regret. Alex's mom, Karen, burst out first, her arms enveloping him in a hug that smelled of apple pie and unconditional warmth. She was a petite woman in her late 40s, with laugh lines etched deep from years of holding the family together, her gray-streaked bun coming loose as she turned to me. "Brandon, Alex has told us so much. Come in. Come in, dinner's almost ready." Her smile was genuine, a beacon in the gathering dusk. And for a fleeting moment, I let myself believe we could pull this off. Alex slung an arm around my shoulders, casual as ever, steering me toward the porch steps. "This is the guy who drags me to those god-awful indie films," he quipped, and I forced a laugh, my pulse racing under his touch. Then the door creaked open wider. And there he was, Tom Hargrove, all 6 feet of weathered authority, his broad shoulders filling the frame like a sentinel. His face, lined from too many Ohio winters and not enough forgiveness, twisted in confusion at first, then sharpened into something feral. Our eyes met, and time folded in on itself. I was 16 again, drenched and trembling in the downpour behind the old mill, the sting of slurs still burning my cheeks from the pack of jocks who'd cornered me after spotting me with my first boyfriend's hand in mine. Freak. They'd spat, fists flying until blue lights cut through the rain. And the cop who'd pulled up, badge gleaming like judgment, wasn't just any officer, was Tom Hargrove, radio crackling as he hauled those boys away, his gaze lingering on me with a mix of pity and something darker. Unspoken. Kid, he'd said that night, voice gruff as he draped his jacket over my shivering frame. You can't go waving flags like that around here. This town's got rules. I'd nodded, numb, clutching the fabric that smelled of cigarettes and motor oil, vowing to bury that part of me forever. But Elmwood's too small for secrets to stay sunk. You, Tom repeated now, his voice slicing through the chill air, stepping down the porch with deliberate slowness, boots thudding like accusations. Alex froze beside me, his arm dropping like it had been scorched. Dad. What? But Tom ignored him. His blue eyes mirror images of Alex boring into mine with the force of a riptide. Brandon. Yeah, that's it. The boy from the mill. 10 years. And here you are, waltzing back into my life like some kind of bad penny. My mouth went dry, words evaporating as Karen's hand fluttered to her chest, confusion etching her features. Alex's face drained of color, his gaze darting between us like a cornered animal. What the hell are you talking about? He demanded. But his father just shook his head, a bitter chuckle escaping as he jabbed a finger at my chest, not touching, but close enough to feel the heat of old wounds reopening. The air thickened, charged with the ghosts of that rainy night. And I realized with a gut-wrenching clarity that this visit wasn't about turkey or small talk anymore. It was a reckoning, one that could either forge us stronger or tear everything apart. As Tom turned on his heel, muttering something about needing a drink, I caught Alex's eye, saw the plea there, don't let this break us. But deep down, I knew the truth. Some pasts don't stay buried. They rise up, demanding you face them head on, or lose the one thing worth fighting for. Inside, the house wrapped around us like a too-tight embrace, walls papered in faded florals, the tick of a grandfather clock marking seconds like indictments. Karen bustled into the kitchen, her chatter about pie filling the void. But the tension hummed beneath it all, electric and unrelenting. Alex grabbed my wrist as we hung our coats, pulling me into the narrow hallway, his breath hot against my ear. What was that? You know my dad. His voice was a whisper laced with betrayal. I searching mine for answers I wasn't ready to give. I swallowed hard, the weight of a decade pressing down. It's complicated. From before I moved to Detroit. He helped me once, when things got bad. It was the truth, stripped bare. But even as I said it, I felt the lie of omission, how that help had come wrapped in warnings to hide who I was, how it had planted the seeds of shame I'd spent years uprooting. He studied me, thumb tracing circles on my skin, a silent anchor in the storm. Tell me later, he murmured, leaning in for a ghost of a kiss that tasted like desperation. Just get through dinner. For me. For him. I'd walk through fire. We filed into the dining room, the table groaning under platters of roasted turkey, mashed potatoes flecked with gravy, and cranberry sauce quivering like jelly. Tom sat at the head, nursing a beer, his silence louder than any shout. Karen filled it with questions about school, my major in graphic design, the city life that seemed worlds away from Elmwood's quiet grip. I answered in monosyllables, fork pushing peas around my plate, every glance at Tom feeling like a spark to dry tinder. As the meal dragged on, the stories flowed Alex's childhood antics. The time he built a fort in the backyard that collapsed on the dog. Laughter bubbling up forced and fragile. But Tom's eyes never left me, peeling back layers I'd armored over. Finally, as Karen cleared plates, he leaned back, chair scraping like nails on chalkboard. So, Brandon, he drawled, the name rolling off his tongue like an accusation. What brings a city boy like you to our little corner of nowhere? Alex says you're just pals, but I remember faces. And yours. Stuck. The room stilled, forks clinking to a halt. Alex's jaw tightened, his foot nudging mine under the tablia plea. A warning. I met Tom's gaze, heart thundering. The boy from the mill rising unbidden, grateful to see familiar faces. I said, voice steady despite the quake inside. Life's full of full circles. Mr. Hargrove. That night, after Karen's hugs and Tom's curt goodnights, Alex led me to the guest room down the hall from his old space, the door clicking shut like a seal on our secrets. The bed was lumpy, sheets starched stiff, but it didn't matter. His body pressed against mine the moment the lights dimmed, lips crashing in a frenzy of need and fear. I don't care what happened, he breathed, fingers tangling in my hair. You're here now? That's all. We moved slow at first, rediscovering each other in the hush of the house. His touch a balm to the raw edges Tom's recognition had sliced open. But as his breaths evened into sleep, I lay awake, staring at the ceiling fan's lazy spin, replaying that night at the mill. The slurs, the rain mixing with tears, Tom's jacket heavy on my shoulders. He'd save me from worse. But his words, hide it, kid, or it'll destroy you, had echoed for years, shaping the walls around my heart. Now, with his son wrapped in my arms, those walls were crumbling, and I wondered if the destruction would be worth the freedom on the other side. Morning broke crisp and unforgiving, frost etching the windows like accusations. Alex slipped out early for a run, leaving me to face the coffee pot alone and Tom, who was already there, broad back to me as he poured black sludge into mugs. The kitchen smelled of bacon and regret, sunlight slanting through lace curtains to highlight the dust motes dancing like unsettled spirits. Sleep okay? He asked without turning, voice gruff but threaded with something softer curiosity. Maybe. Or the ghost of paternal instinct. I nodded, sliding onto a stool, the formica cool under my palms. Like a rock. Sir. A lie. Dreams had been a torrent of fragmented memories, Alex's face morphing into the scared kid I'd been. He turned then, handing me a mug, steam curling between us like a barrier. Up close, in daylight, the lines on his face told stories. Laughter with Karen, arguments with Alex over curfews, the quiet ache of a man who'd traded his badge for wrenches when the job broke something inside him. Call me Tom, he said, settling across from me, elbows on the counter. Silence stretched, thick as the fog outside, until he broke it. That night at the mill. You were just a pup. 16. Eyes full of fire, even soaked to the bone. I sipped the coffee, bitter on my tongue, memories flooding back, unbidden crunch of gravel under fleeing feet, the crack of a bottle shattering nearby. 17. I corrected softly. And yeah, fire's one way to put it. Thanks for pulling me out. His chuckle was low, devoid of mirth. Duty. But seeing you now, with my boy? He trailed off, eyes narrowing, and I braced for the storm, the questions about what you two really are. The judgment I'd fled Detroit to escape. Instead, he surprised me. Alex talks about you nonstop. Brandon this. Brandon that. Thought it was just college bromance at first. But I see the way he lights up. Reminds me of how I looked at his mom. Back when the world wasn't so damn complicated. The admission hung there. Vulnerable. Cracking the armor I'd built around him. My throat tightened. This was an accusation. But a bridge. Rickety and raw. It's not complicated. I said, meeting his gaze. It's real. And scary as hell. But worth it. Tom nodded slowly. Fingers drumming the mug. The rhythm echoing his internal war. Elmwood chews up different. I did. For years chase shadows. Locked up kids like you for daring to breathe. Then one day, I quit. Realized the real criminals were the ones hiding behind badges. His voice cracked. Just a hair. And in that fracture, I glimpsed the man who'd chosen love over legacy. Who'd raised Alex with stories of second chances, even if he couldn't voice his own regrets. Before I could respond, the back door banged open. Alex bursting in flushed and windswept. Towel around his neck. Morning. Dad. Bran. His eyes flicked between us, sensing the undercurrent. But Tom just grunted, standing with a clap on my shoulder firm. Not crushing. Good talk. Kid. Now eat. Karen's got plans for you two today. The day unfolded in a haze of forced normalcy, raking leaves in the yard. The rustle of crimson piles underfoot mingling with Alex's laughter as he pelted me with handfuls. His mom's hot cider steaming in thermoses. But Tom's words lingered. A seed planted in fertile soil. Stirring questions I'd long silenced. What if this place, this man who'd once warned me to hide, could become home too? As evening fell, we escaped to Alex's truck, bumping down back roads to the quarry lake where he'd skinny dipped as a teen. The water gleamed like molten silver under the moon, fireflies winking like conspirators. We stripped down, diving in with whoops that echoed off the bluffs. The cold shock stealing breath but igniting skin. Surfacing. He pulled me close. Water sluicing between us. His lips finding mine in the dark. Whatever my dad said, he started. But I silenced him with a kiss. Deeper. Hungrier. Pouring all the unspoken into with fear. The fire. The fierce love that had carried us here. He sees us. I whispered against his neck. Tasting salt and freedom. And he's not running. We made love there on the rocky shore. Urgent and tender. The stars bearing witness to vows etched in gooseflesh and gasps. For the first time, it felt possible not just surviving the closet, but stepping out into light. Hand in hand. But Elmwood had one more twist waiting. The next afternoon, as Alex and I wandered Main Street, past the hardware store and the church with its steeple piercing the sky like a finger of fate, a voice shattered the idol. Brandon. That you? Son. I turned, stomach plummeting, to face Reverend Ellis, white-haired, stern-jawed, the man who'd led the charge against sodomites in my old town. His sermon's fuel for the Mill-Night mob. His eyes widened at Alex beside me, recognition dawning like a curse. And Hargrove's boy. Lord have mercy. What kind of trouble you two stirring? Alex stiffened, hand clenching mine out of sight. But I stepped forward, chin lifted. Just living. Reverend. Openly. The words tasted like victory. Sharp and sweet. Words spread like wildfire in dry grass. By dinner, Tom's phone buzzed with calls, old colleagues. Busybody neighbors' whispers turning to howls. Karen's face paled as she set the table, her faith warring with her heart. People talk. Tom. You know how it is. He slammed his fist down, not in anger at us, but at the cage Elmwood built around its own. Enough. He barked, voice booming through the room. This is my house. My family. Then, softer, to Alex and me, you boys. You're welcome here. As you are. The admission hung, heavy with the weight of a lifetime's silence broken. Tears glistening in Karen's eyes as she pulled us into a hug. That night, as snow flurried outside, we sat by the fire, four souls forging something new from old fractures. Alex's head on my shoulder. Tom's stories of his cop days laced with regrets turned lessons. Karen's quiet grace weaving it all. The past had recognized me first, but in its gaze, I'd found not judgment, but a mirror reflecting the courage I'd always carried. Now shared. Love. It turned out, wasn't about hiding. It was about standing in the rain, jacket or no, and choosing to dance. Yet as the embers died, doubt crept in like frost. Tom's acceptance felt fragile, a thin ice over the chasm of small-town scrutiny. The next morning, Alex woke me with coffee and a kiss. His eyes bright but shadowed. Dad pulled me aside last night. Said he's proud of me. Of us. But Reverend Ellis is rallying the prayer circle. Thinks we're a test from the devil. I laughed. Bitter. Pulling him down for more. But inside, the old fear stirred the mill's echo. The flight. The hiding. We spent the day fortifying our bubble, baking cookies with Karen, her hands guiding mine through dough, sharing tales of her own rebellious youth eloping with Tom against her preacher father's wishes. Love wins quiet battles, she whispered, flower-dusted cheek against mine. It just takes time. Tom took us to his garage, the air thick with oil and possibility, showing off half-fixed engines like trophies. Used to arrest folks for less than who they love, he admitted. Wrench pausing mid-turn. Saw too many kids like you. Brandon broken by fear I helped enforce. When I quit the force, it was for Alex. Mostly. Knew he'd need a dad who learned better. His vulnerability cracked me open. This man, once a symbol of suppression, now ally in the trenches. We worked side by side, grease-streaked and grinning. Alex's pride radiating as he snapped photos for posterity. But the storm brewed. That evening, a knock rattled the door. Reverend Ellis, flanked by two deacons, Bibles clutched like weapons. Tom's face hardened as he blocked the threshold. Evening, Tom. Heard some concerns about your boy and his friend. Thought we should pray it out. The air crackled. Alex hovering behind me, hand in mine hidden but fierce. I stepped forward, pulse thundering. Pray all you want, Reverend, but we're not your sinners to save. Ellis's eyes bulged, sputtering verses. But Tom cut him off. My house, my rules. And right now, that's love. Get off my porch. The door shut with finality, the lock clicking like a vow. In the aftermath, adrenaline surged into catharsis. Alex and I fled to the attic, dusty boxes of his childhood yielding treasures, old comics, faded Polaroids of him with gap-toothed grins. We made love amid the relics, bodies entwined in a reclamation, his whispers of forever mingling with my gasps of release. You're my home, Bran, he murmured, tracing my scars literal and not. Downstairs, voices rose. Tom and Karen facing the fallout. Phones ringing with support from unlikely quarters, old cop buddies. A lesbian cousin in Cleveland. By midnight, the house felt less like a battlefield, more sanctuary. Thanksgiving dawned golden, the table laden anew. But this feast tasted of triumph. Tom's toast was simple, to family blood. Chosen. All. Glasses clinked. Tears flowed. And as Alex's foot hooked mine under the cloth, I knew we'd weathered the gale. Yet whispers lingered. As we packed that afternoon, a letter slipped under the door, an anonymous note. Leave before you corrupt more. Fear flickered. But Tom burned it in the sink. Flames dancing like defiance. They don't get to decide our story. The drive back blurred with exhaustion and elation. Alex's hand in mine over the console. Chicago's skyline rose like a promise. But Elmwood had rewritten use exposed. Unbreakable. Months later, when Alex came out fully, Tom's voice boomed over video call, proud as hell. Son. And in quiet moments, I'd sketch them all, father and son. Bridge between past and now. Love's quiet victory etched in lines of grace. Word count for part 2, approximately 1,000. Cumulative 2,000. That story couldn't end so neatly. Back in the city, the note's shadow lingered, manifesting in late-night calls from unknown numbers. Vague threats veiled as concern. Alex brushed them off. But I saw the toll, his sketches growing darker. Sleep fractured by doubts. It's nothing. He'd insist, pulling me close. But his kisses carried urgency, as if savoring before loss. I dove into research, tracing the handwriting to Ellis's circle, confronting my own ghost therapy sessions, unearthing the Mills trauma. How Tom's help had saved my body but scarred my soul with shame. Winter quarter hit like a blizzard. Classes a grind of deadlines and denial. One night, after a gallery opening where Alex's Paisea tender portrait of us veiled in cornstalks drew murmurs, we argued. You're pushing too hard. I snapped, jealousy flaring at admirers' gazes. What if they find out about Elmwood? Drag us back into that mess. He recoiled, hurt flashing. Or what if we let fear win? Dad stood up for us to make that mean nothing. The words hung. A chasm. Until I crossed it. Apologies dissolving into reconciliation on the dorm floor. Raw and revealing. Spring brought thaw, a visit to Detroit. My mom's embrace warm but wary. Her questions about that boy met with honesty that freed us both. She confessed her own regrets divorcing my dad over his intolerance, raising me alone with silent strength. You shine. Brandon. Don't dim for anyone. Bolstered. We plan to return to Elmwood for Karen's birthday. Nerves jangling, but resolve steel. The town hadn't changed, same steeple. Same stairs, but we had. Ellis's church marquee read, "Forgiveness heals all." A tacit retreat. At the party, neighbors trickled in. Some stiff. Others thawing with pie slices and small talk. Tom pulled me aside, pressing a key into my palm. Garage needs a hand. Part-time. If you're willing. Family discount. The offer choked me acceptance. Tangible. A job bridging worlds. Alex beamed, toasting with root beer to roots and wings. But drama peaked that night. Ellis cornered us in the backyard, drunk on righteousness and whiskey. You're poison. Boy. He slurred at me. Breath foul. Turning good stock bad. Alex surged forward, but I held him back, facing the man who'd haunted my youth. Poison. Or just truth you can't swallow. Tom's arrival dispersed him, but the confrontation lingered. A catalyst. Later, by the fire pit, Ellis's wife approached quiet, contrite. He's scared, she said, of change, but seeing you too. It's making him question humanity in the enemy. The line blurred. Forgiveness a seed. Summer unfurled in stolen joys. Road trips to Niagara. Alex's hand in mine at Falls Roar. Pride parades where we marched unmasked. Rainbows draping our shoulders like capes. Yet tension simmered. Alex's portfolio deadline loomed. My internship at a design firm demanding long hours. One evening, exhausted, we fought again over space. Over secrets slipping back. I can't breathe if we're always looking over shoulders. He yelled. I stormed out, wandering Chicago's neon veins. Regret crashing like waves. Hours later, his text, come home. I love you fiercely. Fully. We rebuilt. Therapy joint now. Unpacking layers. His fear of disappointing Tom. My terror of abandonment. Fall semester brought news Alex accepted to a grad program in New York. A dream deferred no more. Come with me, he asked, eyes vulnerable, heart swelling. I nodded. Everywhere. Elmwood's pull tugged as we packed, a final dinner. Tom's garage gleaming with our shared sweat. You boys changed this place, Karen said, tears shining. And us. Hugs lingered. Promises of visits. The notes Cinder revealed as a misguided deacon. Now repentant via Tom's firm talk. In New York's bustle, we thrived, tiny apartment alive with laughter. Canvases splashed with our story. Tom's visits became ritual, Yankees games. His gruff pride in our growth. One Christmas, he brought Ellis's apology letter. Hand-scrawled and humbled. Man's trying. Tom grunted. Forgiveness. Not forced, but earned. Years layered on. Proposals under Wrigley lights. Vows in a Detroit garden with blended families' moms. Dads. The works. Elmwood evolved to rainbow flags on porches. Ellis's sermons softening to love thy neighbor. Period. Our daughter arrived. Tiny fists clutching fingers. Her daddy's eyes in miniature. Reflecting. That recognition wasn't curse, but catalyst pulling secrets into light. Forging family from fracture. Love's drama. The gay-capping thrill of survival. The romance of resilience. The humanity of hearts mending. And in every glance between Alex and me, the hook that started it all, one look. Shattering and saving. Forever ours. Wait. No, life's not a tidy arc. The New York move was euphoria laced with grit, roach-infested walk-ups. Rejection emails piling like snowdrifts. Alex's first gallery show bombed, critics calling his work sentimental slop, leaving him curled on our futon. Doubting everything. What if Elmwood was right? We're just playing house. I held him through the sobs. My own freelance gigs barely covering rent. Whispering. We're building. Not playing. Brick by painful brick. I landed a steady gig at a queer mag. Illustrating covers that screamed visibility to men silhouette kissed against cityscapes. Evoking our stolen moments. It paid peanuts but fed the soul. My sketches evolving to include Alex's features. Subtle homages to our journey. Tom's packages arrived monthly, Elmwood jerky. Care packages with Karen's cookies. Notes scrawled in his blocky hand. Proud. Keep fighting. They anchored us amid the chaos. Conflict reignited when Alex's ex from college surfaced, charming sculptor named Riley. All tattoos and easy flirtation. Collaborating on a mural project. Jealousy gnawed. Nights blurred with accusations. He's just a friend. Alex protested. But I saw the spark. Old insecurities flaring, the mill's echo whispering I wasn't enough. One explosive row ended with me sleeping on the fire escape. Stars mocking my solitude. Until dawn brought his arms around me. Apologies raw. You're it. Bran. Always. We sought counseling again. Unpacking envy as fears mask. Emerging tighter. Spring brought breakthrough. Alex's piece on hidden harvests, inspired by our cornfield secret, sold to a major collector. Headlines buzzing. Queer love in rural shadows. They called it. Our story veiled but vivid. Invites flooded. We chose Elmwood's Pride Picnic. A fledgling event under the water tower. Tom grilled burgers. Karen strung banners. Even Ellis lurked at the edges. Nodding stiffly. As Alex spoke, voice steady. Painting our path from shame to shine, crowd, tears mirrored ours. A teen approached after. Eyes wide. You give me hope. The cycle turned. We'd become the bridge. But Kitch Tin peaked midsummer, Tom's heart attack. Sudden as lightning. We raced cross-country. Hospital fluorescence harsh on his pale face. Karen's vigil was stoic. But her grip on mine betrayed terror. He was going to tell you about the cancer scare last year. Fought it quiet. For us, rage and grief warred. Why hide? In recovery, Tom confessed. Raspy, didn't want pity. Wanted to live for the grandkids I'd never have. Till you two showed me family redefines itself. We forgave. Fiercely. Vowing transparency. Fall healed. Tom's rehab in our apartment. Stories swapped over takeout as cop regrets. My design dreams. Alex proposed then. Ring simple silver. On the fire escape under harvest moon. Marry me. Through every storm. Tears yes. Planning a small ceremony blending worlds. Detroit roots. Elmwood heart. NYC flair. Wedding day dawned perfect October leaves aflame. Vows exchanged in a lakeside chapel near the mill. Reclaiming ground zero. Tom walked Alex down the aisle. Eyes wet. Mom's clasped hands. Pride radiant. Riley toasted. Friend now. Not threat. As we danced. First as husbands. The hook replay not shattering. But sustaining. Recognition had sparked our saga. Love sustained the flame. Years wove richer, adoption battles won. Our son Jasper's laughter filling lofts. Alex's exhibits touring. My books illustrated with tales of resilience. Elmwood visits normalized Jasper fishing with Grandpa Tom. Learning mercy from Ellis's reformed sermons. The note. A relic. Framed as reminder, threats forged strength. Deeper into marriage. The drama shifted inward. Jasper's arrival was joy laced with logistic sleepless nights. Formula debates. The raw vulnerability of parenthood amplifying old wounds. Alex, ever the artist, poured emotion into portraits of our boy. But exhaustion bred irritability. You're hogging him. He'd snap during feedings. My arms aching from holds. I'd retreat to sketches. Lines sharp with frustration. Until one midnight meltdown. What if we're screwing him up? Like Dad almost did me. Tears bridged us. Reaffirming, we're enough. Flawed but fierce. External gales howled too. A viral backlash hit when Alex's memoir excerpt leaked, from closet to cornfields, bigots online spewing hate. Doxing attempts chilling. Tom's voice steadied over calls. Ignore the noise. You changed me. Change them. We countered with a podcast. Voices united. Sharing the mill's shadow to spotlight light. Listeners flooded in stories of hidden loves. Small-town escapes turning pain to purpose. Jasper's toddler tantrums mirrored our past. A playground shove from a kid parroting, "Gay dad's weird." His wail piercing. We knelt. Explaining difference as strength. But doubt crept had we doomed him. School meetings followed. Principal sympathetic but scripted, will address bullying. Home. We role-played resilience. Jasper's hugs healing the hurt. Karen visited. Her lullabies a balm. Whispering. You give him wings we never had. Kitsch tin crested at Jasper's 5th birthday, Elmwood bash. Piñata swinging under oaks. Ellis arrived uninvited. Sober now. Extending an olive Branshaw donated check for local youth center. Saw the error. He mumbled. Your light showed it. Acceptance's arc. Slow burn meaningful. But midway, a storm cracked literal thunder. Lights out. Guests scattering. In darkness. Family huddled. Tom's stories of badge night blackouts calming fears. Candlelit cake. Jasper's grin, magic and mess. Post-party. Romance reignited. With Jasper asleep, Alex and I slipped to the guest room. Lovemaking slow. Rediscovering amid chaos. Still my hook. He breathed. Echoing that porch recognition. Laughter followed. Planning escapes, a cabin getaway. Just us. Return to NYC buzzed with Growth Me graphic novel deal. Alex's TED Talk on queer rural narratives. Jasper thrived. Bilingual in art and empathy. His questions probing, why do some people hate? We'd answer honest, fear. But love's louder. Anniversary 10th loomed. We revisited the mill. Now a community park. Plaque noting site of change. Picnicking. Jasper chasing fireflies. We renewed, vows whispered. Profound. Tom's health faltered again. But he fought. Surrounded by us. Legacy in love's lineage. Adolescence ambushed Jasper at 12. Hormones and heritage colliding. Puberty's storm brought identity queries. Am I gay too? He'd ask. Voice small over dinner. We'd affirm. Whoever you love. We're here. But his confusion echoed our crushes on boys and girls. Fears of fitting nowhere. Alex and I navigated gently. Books and talks. But a school dance rejection crushed him. They called me fag spawn. Rage boiled. We marched to the principal. Demanding action. Tom's advice ringing. Teach fight. Not flight. Parallel. My career Crestita solo exhibit. Recognized shadows. Drawings of that porch moment evolving into queer icons. Critics lauded the emotion. But trolls resurfaced. Dredging Elmwood dirt. One night. A brick through our studio window scrawled, "Go back to Ohio," shattered glass and complacency. Police, ironic echo, dismissed it as vandalism. But fear lodged deep. Alex barricaded. Jasper clung tighter. Are we safe? He whispered. Always. I lied. Vowing protection. Crisis catalyzed community, a fundraiser rally. Survivors sharing stages. Turning vulnerability to velocity. Ellis spoke transformed. His church now ally. I was the brick. Forgive my throw. Catharsis flowed. Jasper beaming as donors pledged for anti-hate initiatives. Intimacy strained under stress. Alex and I argued logistics, who attends what? Whose career bends? A weekend retreat mended, Adirondacks cabin. No signal. Just us. Hikes hand in hand. Nights by fire. Rediscovering the hook's heat. We started secret. He said. But we're epic now. Laughter. Love. Renewed. Jasper's turning point. Art camp. Where he painted his True the family portrait. Us three under rainbow cornstalks. Counselors raved. Back home. He hung it proud. I'm bi. He declared one evening. Chin high. Hugs enveloped. Tom's video toast. Welcome to the club. Kiddo. Love's the only rule. Elmwood called for Jasper's quince-like bash 13. Not 15. But milestone. Town transformed, pride crosswalks. Youth group led by reformed bullies. Karen's cake towered. Tom's speech heartfelt. You boys gave me a grandson who shines brighter than I ever did. Dancing under stars. Jasper with friends diverse. Accepted the circle completed. Yet life layered loss. Karen's passing. Quiet in sleep. Cancer stealthy. Her funeral swelled Elmwood's church. Eulogies weaving her grace through our saga. She saw love's light first. Tom choked. We scattered ashes at the lake. Jasper's stone skip rippling vows of memory. Grief bonded deeper. Alex's series on maternal legacies poured pain to pigment. Selling out. My sequel novel chronicled it, Echo's recognized bestseller bomb. Jasper stepped up. Cooking meals. His empathy a anchor. Jasper's high school years accelerated the whirlwind debate, club firebrand. Advocating for GSA. His passion a mirror to our youth's fire. But teen drama detonated. First boyfriend. A lanky artist named Kai. Outed harshly by classmates. Text vicious. Jasper raged home. Slamming doors. We listened. Then strategized legal aid. School board pressure. It's like your mill. Dad. He said. Eyes fierce. But I won't run. Pride swelled. Mingled with terror. We'd armed him. But shields crack. Alex's midlife muse struck. Sabbatical for a documentary. Hometown hooks. Interviewing queer elders from Ohio towns. I tagged along. Camera rolling on raw reckoning stories paralleling ours. Tears and triumphs. One vet, 80, confessed, hid 60 years. Wish I'd met folks like you sooner. Tom's segment gutted. Recognizing Brandon saved me more than him. Premiere packed. Applause thunderous. Jasper's speech closing. Past glances light future paths. Personal plot twisted. My diagnosis prostate scare. Biopsies tense. Waiting rooms echoed mill rain. Vulnerability raw. Alex held vigil. Jasper baked fuck cancer cookies. Benign. Thank God. But it reframed health's fragility. Love's anchor. We traveled post-clearance Greece. Sun-kissed isles. Making memories unshadowed. Jasper's prom loomed. He asked Tom to chaperone full circle. Suited up. Corsage pinned. Kai's hand in his. They posed porch style. Recognize this. Jasper grinned. Tom teared. Best rerun ever. Drama dipped when bullies crashed. Slurs slung. Tom stepped up. Voice cop steady. Not here. Not them. Backup Aravitas. Friends circle unbreakable. Graduation gold. Valedictorian nod. Speech weaving our tale anonymized. One look changed everything. Chase those glances. College acceptances piled in NYU art. Legacy loop. Empty nest loomed. Alex and I mourned preemptively. Tango classes filling quiet. Bodies relearning rhythm. Elmwood's evolution peaked. Annual recognition fest. Art fair honoring queer history. Our keynote drawing crowds. Ellis. Frail now. Pass the mic. I was blind. You opened eyes. His death later brought closure funeral note to us. Thank you for grace I didn't earn. Jasper's freshman drop-ins buzzed with tails crushes. Classes. Crises dodged. Kai stuck. Their love young but solid. Holidays blended. Tom's farm table groaning. Jasper's stories sparking laughs. Silver anniversary approached. We recreated the drive Chicago to Elmwood. Pausing at Mill Park. Vows renewed lakeside. Jasper officiating. Kai witnessing. From hook to home. He intoned. Rings exchanged. Kisses sealed. Sunset applauding. Legacy bloomed. Jasper's graphic novel collab with me. Alex's foundation funding rural queer youth. Tom's retirement party. Wrenches down. Stories up. Us toasting the man who'd pivoted from enforcer to embrace. Decades distilled to essence. Jasper's wedding him and Kai under Detroit oaks. Vows echoing ours. Tom's best man toast croaking. Love recognizes no bounds. Grandkids arrived. Little Mia. Tomboy artist. Theo. Quiet inventor chaos and cuddles filling our brownstone. Alex and I mentored. Sketches shared. Stories spun of the porch that started it. Health's thief struck Tom Alzheimer's slow creep. Memories fading like old film. Visits became rituals, photo albums flipped. Our faces anchoring his drift. Brandon. The boy. He'd murmur. Eyes clearing brief. Last lucid talk. You gave my son everything. Thank you. Hospice held him gentle. Karen's spirit in every breath. Passing peaceful. Elmwood full for farewell rainbow draped. Legacies layered. Grief's wave crested creative. Alex's final series. Fading recognitions. Portraits of elders lost to time. Touring globally. My memoir trilogy capped. Glance trilogy. Bestseller beacon for generations. Jasper curated exhibits. Grandkids finger painting frames. Jasper's 40s mirrored ours. Career highs. Family fractures mended. Mia came out trans at 16. We rallied hormones navigated. Love unwavering. Like Grandpa Tom's pivot. She said. Theo's asexuality talks deepened dialogues. Spectrum embraced.